Welcome to Thrive with Vivi. Our special guest today is my friend Marc Holzman. And at the end of a fantastic, very rich yoga and Ayurveda retreat here at Zen Rocks, we are sharing some of the beautiful moments and the beautiful tips with you so we can continue with the practice we had here and you can take up some practices that will make your life so much easier. Right?
Yeah. One of the things we hear quite often during a retreat is the experience is so rich and so full, and people begin to feel so relaxed. The question then becomes, how can we take this and apply it to when we get back home? Because when we get back home, we have those stressors, which are the reasons why we left in the first place.
And also, there's like this stress, these dire, difficult situations that you're dealing with right now will be like part of the title of this podcast because we are surrounded with very huge challenges in terms of the global situation, in terms of all the wars happening right now, the political situation, and like the world being in like this huge upheaval on one hand.
Yep.
And then on the other hand, what we experience here this week is like the yoga the way it used to be. Like yoga has become such a confusing practice nowadays. You open up social media and you like don't have any idea what yoga is. But for us this week, yoga was a way of like we're just immediately with your voice and your instruction, we're dropping into a place of relaxation, a place of moving, a place of breathing, and feeling something that is nameless, but just pulling us together as a team, as a community. I just love the way that you generated this feeling of community between all of us, the people working at Zen Rocks, the animals, the butterflies, just like your voice and your experience does that like no other.
Thank you for saying that. I think one of the things that you mentioned, which is important, is the simplicity of yoga. We're actually not doing very much here. We have the luxury of having our meals beautifully prepared. We have the luxury of looking out on this superb view. But really, the essence of yoga is quite simple. We're just moving, we're breathing, we're meditating, and that's pretty much it. We don't need a lot of bells and whistles with yoga. And I know that, as you said, yoga has gotten more, even I think, gimmicky. There's more gimmicks, and let's combine yoga with this, and combine yoga with goats, and do all these different things. And it can get there's a lot of noise out there. It can be very, very confusing. When at the essence...
And yoga becomes like another thing to do and to excel and to like, it becomes a competitive thing. Like, how can I do it better? How can I look better on social media? How can and it just takes us away. You even go to a yoga class and people think in the same achieving mind. How can I do more handstands? How can I lose more weight? How can I be more advanced? And then, okay, you may get flexibility, you may get strength, but something is missing. And this is what we were talking about with Marc and the team here today, that it reminded me of the good old times when yoga practice was a deep practice to find a sense of self, to find our heart, to find our human aspiration, and to find a way that we can relate with each other and ourselves with compassion, with ease, with comfort, with honesty. And this, in a way, like this is so out of fashion. Maybe, like, I don't know why, but yoga came out of fashion. Now it's the weights, and it's the cross training, it's the Pilates, and it's everything else. And yoga has, like, it phased out. It's not what it used to be 20 years ago, right?
Right. I think what I hear you saying is that yoga has become more doing and less being, when really it's the being that we're going for. And we live in a culture that praises and rewards doing. You want more, you want to get more, you have to do more. And that has translated also into a yoga practice. When yoga itself, it's very, very difficult to do nothing. It's difficult to just be. You often hear people say like, oh, I can never do yoga because I'm not flexible enough. Or I can't do yoga because I can't shut the mind. That's exactly why you need the training of yoga itself. We're kind of teaching you to do nothing in a way. Just move the body very, very simply. You don't need a lot to be able to go inward very, very quickly. Just breath, this movement, meditation, quiet. You can do that in your own home, actually. Right?
We can, maybe with your voice, and that's what was so amazing here, is that people who had never done yoga before, and even people who were very advanced, just immediately when we stepped on this yoga diet, immediately we came to a place of, oh, I don't need to do much, and just feeling good and breathing, like you said, and moving. But the drop was immediate, and the feeling of goodness was immediate. And so,
I think that's because that is our natural state. That is supposed to be our natural state. You see the calmness of nature itself. Our natural inner state is one of calm, which we have forgotten. I do see it when people first arrive. The energy is it's a little harsh, right? People have been traveling. They're still stressed from their work, from their lives. So the energy is a little jagged. It's a little sharp. People are unsure. They don't like sitting in the unknown. Where's my room? How is this going to work? What's the schedule? I want to know everything up front so that I can, but honestly, because the nature of nature is of healing and of quiet, it really only takes one session to start to see the shift. And I've said in a joking way, this beautiful landscape does half of the work for me as a yoga teacher. It's like my co-teacher right back here.
True.
And also, I think it's important to remember, and you actually mentioned this, that many people compartmentalize yoga as this thing on their to-do list. Like, oh, I do this, I go to work, change the diapers, I got these things to do. Oh, and I have yoga class at 5 o'clock. Yes, that's important and it's great. But it shouldn't just be something on your to-do list. It actually can be something you can do at any time. It doesn't have to be for 60 minutes. It doesn't have to be for 90 minutes. You can get a lot done. We had a practice this morning that was only really about 30 minutes with a 10-minute relaxation. You can get a lot done with focus if you just move the body and breathe for 30 minutes.
And then if you can somehow maintain that ability to just, every moment of my life is my opportunity to breathe, to calm down. Even when I'm rushing, I need to get to the car, I need to go to town and get something. But it's also my moment to breathe, to relax, to look around, to look at the beauty, somehow to keep remembering our yoga throughout the day.
Correct. So it's not compartmentalized to one place and one time. No, yoga was actually meant to make our lives better. And it was meant to help us fall in love with our lives. Like, we're on this earth, we're manifest. How can we find our way back to happiness? And yoga is a roadmap for that. It's not meant to just be done in a studio. It really is meant to be used practically as a tool in the tool belt. I can give you a really good example.
I have an idea.
Yes.
So with AI, we're going to get your mind and your wisdom, your tenderness and your voice to be on our ear pod all day long. And it's going to be telling me, Vivi, you're driving to down, turn left to look at the sea. And now, as you're going the stop line, it's an opportunity, Vivi, to breathe, exhale and inhale.
I see a new business model for a GPS system that not only gives directions, but also gives breath instruction in between make a right on this street.
With your voice and your sense of, like, somehow you intuit with, like, where the energy is and how we go back to nature energy. And this is what, like, I wanted to talk about in terms of the yoga as the practices that we do, like you said, all day long, but also Ayurveda.
Yeah.
And how Ayurveda just goes right along with yoga
Yeah.
to help us to find our health and our balance. Tell us, what is Ayurveda?
Ayurveda is we'll call it the health care system of India. So just like China has their own 5,000-year-old system called traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, India has their own, and it is sister science of yoga. And I say sister science because in India, these healing modalities are all one. They're all a holistic blend. We have Vedic astrology, Hatha yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, Vastu, which is the kind of like Feng Shui. It's like the study of space and of sacred architecture. That is all one big thing in India. But what we find is that in its migration to the West, it didn't come as one holistic system. It came in like one piece at a time.
Right.
So yoga came first, and then Ayurveda came second, and it's but they're all meant to get to be together. When you go to an Ayurveda doctor in India, quite often they will ask to see your Vedic astrology chart, and Ayurveda doctors may prescribe some yoga, either breathing or so. It's all enmeshed together. But here, because yoga came first, and certainly in the U.S., but in the West, it just took that and it kind of just blew up as some physical practice that was disconnected from a bigger Vedic lineage in India. So one of the things we're trying to do is bring all of these sciences together. I would love to give you a very quick example of how yoga / Ayurveda, how I used it recently. As an example of taking these tools for everyday life. So I had open heart surgery about 17 years ago. So my heart, not so great. And I recently, just a few months ago, had to go in to get a very sort of intense test on my heart, which required, it's like a cardiac CAT scan. And they have to inject dye in me so they can see the contrast. And they couldn't do this particular MRI / CAT scan unless my heart rate was under 70.
Uh-huh.
And if it wasn't under 70, they were either going to give me blood pressure medication on the spot as an injection to get the heart rate down, or I'd have to reschedule. So they took my heart rate, and it was like 75 because I was nervous. Even if I wasn't nervous, by the way, 75 is not bad.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good heart rate.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, we're going to give you this, or you can reschedule. I said, wait a minute. I said, if you could just give me 5 minutes by myself. Right? I was in a hospital gown. I was in the hospital room, and the nurse was like, no problem. She left. Vivi, all I did for about 5 minutes, probably less, more like 3 minutes, was I breathed in for 4 seconds, and I breathed out for 8 seconds. That is it. Inhale 4, exhale 8. Actually, inhale 4, held the breath for a beat. Exhale 8 seconds. After about 3 or 4 minutes, I asked the nurse to come in. I really put myself in that meditative space just through using the simple tool of the breath. She took my blood pressure, checked my rate, and I was at like 67.
Wow.
And I was able to do it. And it wasn't difficult, and anyone can do it. Sometimes it's not always that easy, but that's just an example of how simple inhale, exhale longer than inhale, can help you in the moment with a panic attack, with getting your blood pressure down and your heart rate down. Simple.
Like we're in
You don't need a yoga mat.
Yeah, like we're in the kitchen and the clock is ticking and you need to get the dishes out and it's a little crazy. And while even doing that, all we can do is breathe for 4. Hold a little bit, smile, maybe swallow.
Mm-hmm.
And then exhale for a long exhalation, and already the nervous system quiets down.
The nervous system quiets down, and the brain waves begin to quiet down, because it's the brain, a great organ, our ally, but also can be our worst enemy. It can tell us things that It's neurotic. The mind is neurotic.
Yeah,
And it can tell us things that we don't even believe, that aren't even true.
It's got these habits, and it's creating like a pattern. And every day, every morning, is the same thoughts from yesterday, the same problems. And it's not reality. It's how we interpret reality. It's how we are accustomed, habituated to thinking in a certain way. So maybe yoga, Ayurveda, and a good voice can tell us, hey, you can snap out of your perception of reality and create a new reality that's based in like, look at the flow of life.
Exactly.
Yes, there will be storms. Yes, it'll be hot and it'll be cold. It'll be everything. But nature is calm as she's going through her changes. So
Yes.
we can be calm and happy and serene as we go through our changes.
Yeah. If you watch, if you're maybe lucky to go to Africa and go to the Serengeti, but even if you watch some National Geographic, wildlife, except when there is about a feeding about to happen, nature's very calm. We are meant to be as calm as the grazing cow. That is the nature of our nature. Because we have stress, this is a really interesting statistic. Our body is only able to handle 90 seconds of cortisol flushing through our body. That is it. We're not meant to have more than 90 seconds if something scary happens to us. But what happens is that after the cortisol might leave after 90 seconds, emotionally, we're still attached to that thing that just happened.
Right.
And so when you have cortisol, a stress hormone, running through your system, even in trace amounts in your organs, no bueno, no Spanish, I know, no good. It's no good. The organs can't work, the brain can't function. So that's why we need these tools to be able to get us out of this sympathetic nervous system. We could be scared for a moment, but then we need to relax. Just like a cat. Like they get wah for a moment if they get scared, and then they're back in a second, they're licking their paws.
So that's a good trigger for us.
Yeah.
To know that, okay, I do not need to be on alert. I do not need to be on this high energy reactivity. Right. And I can calm down to go and still do all the tasks that I need to do.
Yes.
So that's a great way to be.
Yep.
Give us some tools.
Okay.
Give us some like practical tools, just a few to help us through the day.
Sure. So we talked about the breath. So that's like an easy on-the-spot thing whenever you're really feeling like, oh, goodness, that's like right off the bat easiest. Like I said, you don't need a yoga mat. You don't need anything in your hand. That is just, boom, breath, a biomechanical wonder, miracle action.
And breath is like, because like to stay with breath, because breath is with us through the day.
Yeah.
And it is like our breathes with the mind.
Yeah.
And what happens to our whole system. And so to just breathe consciously throughout the day, right? Like.
Yes. And even if you don't remember, because it's hard to remember to breathe consciously through 24 hours, you can even set a timer, at least every hour, even if something, just to take a few minutes to breathe deeper. Because if you breathe just into the chest, it's going to mimic a panic response.
Can we do a breath like that? Like this is now
like
we
the
go
wrong
through
breath?
it now. No, the right breath.
The right breath. Okay.
Let's just do like.
Okay. Yeah. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just have a seat in which you can lift the chest nice and high, because the capacity of the lungs is greater when there is a spreading of the lungs horizontally and vertically. It's always best to close the eyes. So the chin and the head are not collapsing down. The shoulders are not slumping forward. They're rolling back to lift up and liberate the lungs. You exhale. This is all through the nose. Exhale first. Take a slow inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath at the top. Exhale slowly for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Exhale to the point of no more exhale. Let's do that one more time. Deep inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4, and hold. And exhale 8, slowly, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We'll just do that one more time. Empty out. Inhale. And hold. And exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And slowly open your eyes. And it's as simple as that. That's what I did in the doctor's office in the hospital. I just did that breath, and everything, the whole nervous system began to ground down.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, we do that throughout the day.
Yeah.
A few times in the morning, during traffic, later.
Right, when you feel the
in
stress.
the afternoon. Yeah, we just do it through the day, and it comes down our nervous system and the mind and the heart rate.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
That's one thing.
And
we have
then,
other things.
Yes, exactly. You have tools. We have tools for stressful times. So we start in the morning, right? So in the morning.
Yes. The morning, I feel like, is the most important, because what you do in that first hour of when you wake up is going to set a precedent for the rest of the day. So I just want to give you a little morning routine that you can do. And I just also want to say this about routine. I'm giving you specific things, but just having a routine is really helpful for the nervous system. The body loves repetition. It loves standardization. The body and the mind love ritual and things that you do over and over again. The body and the mind do not want to have to guess what time it's going to go to bed and wake up every day. It doesn't want to have to guess what time you're going to eat, because it happens at different times. So even no matter what you're doing, if it is steady and has some sort of rhythm and method to it, that automatically, for the things that you can control, will help for all of those things that you can't really control. Here is a simple morning routine. Wake up early, preferably before sunrise, because that's just a beautiful time before the light shifts.
Okay.
So if you can wake up before sunrise, all the better. But wake up a little bit earlier. The first thing you're going to do is take a tongue scraper.
If you don't have that, use a spoon.
Yeah, as long as it's not plastic.
Yeah.
But a stainless steel tongue scraper is great. And you're simply from back to forward, you're going to scrape the tongue. Not hard. You don't have to gag. You're not taking the first layer of skin off of the tongue. All you're doing is looking at how much gunk is coming off on the tongue scraper.
You're getting the toxins out.
You're getting the toxins out. The tongue is not just something that flaps around so you can speak. It's part of your digestive system. What is happening on the tongue that you're seeing is giving you a picture of what's happening in your gut, because you can't go in and look at your gut. But what's happening in the gut is reflected on the tongue.
And I asked you this morning before we started shooting, I said, lately, what I get, and this is good because you go to the base of the tongue, and I was happy because I was getting like this pasty white thing, and
like
I'm like
yogurt consistency.
Yeah, like yogurt, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't have any more toxins. It's not brown, it's not green, it's like this yogurt type of thing, and I'm like, I'm so clean. And you said,
I said, well, yes, it's nice that it's white. However, if you have this on your tongue, that means, because the toxins are called ama. AMA, means undigested or unripe. It is that which you put in your body probably yesterday or last night that wasn't fully digested. So when you have a lot, no matter what was on your tongue, and yes, you can go through the colors of what it is, because there's pitta imbalance, it can get very technical. But if you have a lot of this kind of yogurt consistency on your tongue, it means that quite a bit was not digested and is sitting. You're seeing that on your tongue, but it's actually can be in the joints. It can be in the bloodstream. A simple kind of gold standard of your state of health is that when you wake up in the morning, you should feel relatively light and clear. Of course, you're going to be slow because you've been sleeping. There's going to be a moment of grogginess, because that's human. but you should feel light and clear. If you're feeling very heavy and it's hard to move the body and the joints are stiff, that usually means that there is too much ama circulating in your system. So this is a diagnostic tool, and it also stimulates digestion. When you push on the tongue a little bit, I can go on and on about the tongue scraper, I won't.
You love tongue scrapers. We gave everybody in this retreat a tongue scraper. I had mine from India,
and it's
but
one of the
great.
easiest things you can do. I mean, you put it on your bathroom sink in the morning so you see it as a visual habit cue. You're like, first thing, before you have water, scrape the tongue. Easy.
Yeah, and it just gets you on that mode of I'm taking care of myself, I'm checking in, I'm seeing what's happening. And may I add something even before that? Like even from bed, it's like you wake up and like Thich Nhat Hanh says, I wake up and I smile. 24 brand new hours are ahead of me. So to put ourselves
how lucky are we?
Yeah, how lucky are we? And to say thank you, say thank you to your body, thank you to everybody, who has helped you. Thank you to nature, thank you to your parents, thank you to the whole world. It's just to be in a state of gratitude. I open my eyes, my mind is working, therefore thank you, and thank you.
Yeah.
And so the gratitude and the optimism, it's a difficult world, it's not easy. If I turn on the news first, it's like I may never want to get out of bed. It's not an easy life, but let's bring as much positive energy, hope, and optimism, because we can tune our mind to different channels. We choose the channel. We create the channel. Let's create the channel that we want to live in, right?
That's right.
The channel that we want our families and our kids and those who love to live in.
Absolutely. And you make a good point that during this really sacred time in the morning, even if you only have a half an hour, don't let the outside in yet. Don't put the news on. Don't check the phone. Really protect the sacred space of the morning. So before you let the outside in, you have all of these tools for self-care. Because if you don't take care of yourself first, especially in the morning, then when people ask you for things throughout the day, you're going to feel depleted because you haven't taken care of yourself first.
Yeah.
So you don't want to feel depleted. You don't want to feel like people are picking at you. So you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You wake up, say thank you that I just woke up, scrape your tongue, have a few glasses of water.
How many?
1 or 2.
And like people say lukewarm, people say hot.
It could be hot or lukewarm as long as it's not cold.
And then just not cold refrigerator water.
Not
and then lemon. Some people say squeeze a lemon.
You can put lemon in there. Over time, lemon juice can take the enamel off your teeth. But you could just do water and lemon occasionally. Okay. And that's not only just for hydration. It also gathers everything that has been stagnant throughout the night because you've been lying down for hopefully about 8 hours. Things get stagnant. So when you stand up, what the water does, because water is kind of heavy, when you drink water, you're not only flushing your cells with hydration, it's almost like a waterfall, and it starts to pull everything down, and it can help with a bowel movement. Because we know that Ayurveda is obsessed with digestion and bowel movements, and even more specifically, to have a bowel movement in the morning before 9 o'clock or before. That's how specific it is. You don't want to drag yesterday into today.
Okay.
And drinking water is one of those simple things that you can do with the weight of it, can start to move energy down here and eventually out. So we have wake up before dawn. Thank you, universe. Scrape the tongue. We don't drink the water first because we want to have a clear reading from the tongue scraper as the diagnostic tool.
Right.
Drink some water, and then simply, very simply, it does not have to be your exercise of the day, breath body movement. It can be 3 sun salutations, half salutations, cat cows, as long as the breath and the movement are in coordination.
I like that because you know what I usually do? I'm thinking, okay, let me finish, go with the dogs, feed them, walk them, whatever, and I will do my practice later. And sometimes other things happen and the practice never happens. So you say no matter what, even if practice is coming later, just to do like 5 minutes of movement?
Correct. This is not you're going to the gym or running or anything like that, and it doesn't have to be more than 3 to 4 minutes, just like we talked earlier about the breath. It's just so that the body and the breath you start to coordinate, and the breath has to be deep, because we want to wake the body up with prana, not coffee. Coffee's okay. I like coffee. We don't want to hydrate with coffee. That's why we do the water first. Coffee can come later. We're just a little delayed gratification. It's not like don't ever drink coffee. It's just like, let's put it in the right sequence. Remember, Ayurveda is always going to look toward a bowel movement. So it's the water plus the movement with the breath could start getting things maybe moving. Then hopefully, maybe there is an elimination, and then meditation. Meditation when you're emptier. When empty.
Meditation when we're empty,
When we're
and
empty.
clean.
It doesn't always happen.
Empty and clean.
Empty and clean, because this food tube, we want it cleared out. This is a drain. We don't even have to overthink it. This is a drain from mouth to anus. We're trying to drain this out, and it also mirrors what's called the Sushumna Nadi, which is this main spirit channel here, which is like
the energetic
ethereal,
channel.
the energetic channel
spine.
is sort of related to also the digestive tract. So when we can clear and clean out digestion, then meditation is just a little bit more fruitful. It's a little easier, and we can connect more to the more subtle realms. Hard to do if you have a late dinner, and you wake up, there's a lot of ama, you feel heavy in the belly. And that's your basic outline for a morning.
Yeah.
routine.
Awesome.
Just
Awesome.
boom, 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 boom.
Wonderful. I think we're going to remember that.
Yeah.
We're going to remember to wake up and be grateful, optimistic, to scrape our tongue, to drink or two. Some people say drink 4 glasses of water, but 1 or 2 is okay. One or two glasses of water, and then get to move.
Simple movement where you're
Movement with
bending
breath.
over with
Yeah.
the breath, deeply with the breath. Maybe there's elimination. It doesn't always happen, but you can train the elimination for this way.
Absolutely.
And then if you have a few minutes to meditate,
And meditate as in, there's so many ways to meditate.
so many ways.
But meditate as in leave some space for emptiness
Yes.
in our life. You know, it's like we wake up and all the thoughts and all the to-dos list, they all rush in. And just to say, no, I don't have to do anything. Space, just
Yeah.
space.
And the mind might run itself.
Yes.
Because remember I said earlier that the mind it can be neurotic. That's okay. What we're doing in meditation is at least pulling ourselves out as the witness and watching the neurotic mind instead of getting enmeshed into it. Because the mind is going to do its thing, it's going to roll. But what happens, the mistake of most humans, is that we get entangled and we start thinking
Exactly.
what our neurotic mind is telling us. But
Yeah.
if we can let the script play out and stand behind and just watch it and be like, you know what, this is just a movie reel playing, I'm going to watch it.
And just to give that to ourselves and say, I'm giving myself a 5, a 10, a 15-minute break before the world rushes in.
Totally.
And you know, in these classes, you were reading or telling us something about you are the force of awareness, you are the observer. So can we conclude this beautiful podcast
Yes.
with this wonderful wisdom from you, Marc?
Sure.
And you
Sure.
know what I want to say, Marc, because we're going to end after this,
Yeah.
is that Marc is like this amazing human being, this amazing teacher. He is like that 24/7. You know, it's not just his teaching, it's not just his camera persona. He's like that with my dogs. He's like that with us. He's like that with the students. He's just like a very clear, caring, wise, down-to-earth, charismatic, exceptional human
That's
being.
very kind of you. And also what I'm hearing there is that I think for everyone, and I said this yesterday in our class, is that one of the greatest forms of healing or health in self-care is to be your authentic self, to be exactly who you are in all of its crazy, radical diversity that it might be, the kookiness, all of it. There's not like different personas all the time, but living an honest satya, an honest, authentic who you are with no weird secrets, that is probably the biggest key to longevity, to break the bondage of inauthenticity.
And because you are like that, obviously, with your friend, yourself, and having to, like, you had to face your mortality. You had to like go through your heart operation back then, and because you're like that with yourself, I get the feeling that I can be my authentic self with you, and you will not judge me, and you will be forgiving when I forget something or I goof
We're
up.
human. Oh my
and
goodness,
you're like
we're
that
human.
with everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody just like really enjoys being with you and practicing with you, because we can be that way. Like when somebody is not judging and criticizing you and condemning you for fucking up,
Totally.
when somebody is not judging, it's obvious, being his authentic self and welcoming me to be my authentic self, and just so we can all relax and say, okay, we're trying.
I have
We're
a lot of
trying the best
skeletons.
that
I have a
we
lot of
can.
skeletons in my own closet.
Next episode.
So I think we can all do well if we give a little grace to the kind of crazy humanity and we make tons of mistakes. And I think we can give all of ourselves, especially to ourselves, a little more allowance and a little more grace, for sure. So.
Thank you, Marc. Marc, I'm going to pretend I'm lying down in Savasana and you're doing Yoga Nidra. We're going to do another episode where Marc is going to talk to us more about techniques of breathing and massage techniques and Yoga Nidra. That will be another time. But for now, I just want to hear that encouragement to stay away from my drama and to just be... Yeah.
Okay. We'll take 1 minute here just to close the eyes. And as you close your eyes in this very sweet, gentle embrace, and here we're in the sattvic arms of Mother Nature. But wherever you are, as the breath begins to deepen, we understand that even on the surface of life, and yes, you have a personality and you have habits and there may be flaws and you may be hurting or suffering in some way, which is human. So we say yes and yes and yes to all of our humanity, of course. And yet with this practice of yoga, we understand that there is yet a deeper layer. There are many layers as we go deeper and deeper into the very heart of consciousness, into this radiating temple of perfection, which is the unitary consciousness, our true self-identity, where we assemble our self-identity begins to move through a practice from the outer, deeper and closer to the heart. This is not a faraway place. It is but a breath away. It requires receptivity, surrender, and the courage to shed layers and move into being instead of thinking and doing, more feeling and more being. And resting in this space will give you longevity. Moving and living from this space will give you the ability to maintain a beautiful long life. Thank you so much.
In that space again, in that space of being our authentic self, of being part of the universe.
Yeah.
It's
all connected.
And observing rather than...
Yeah. When we understand this gifting economy, it's free. The plants exhale, we inhale that same exhale. We exhale, the plant life is inhaling. This is a free exchange, this carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange, so we will always feel supported. When you live in rhythm with nature, you will understand how much support you actually have.
We actually have incredible support to get through our days, no matter where we are.
You have to remember that, though.
And no matter how hard life gets, and I know we're in a beautiful place today, but we always have that support. For as long as we're alive, breath is there. And this rhythm of life is there. And maybe love is there. Maybe,
absolutely.
Maybe a lot of tenderness, a lot of camaraderie is
if
there.
you remember it and you're open to it, because we can get very harsh, we can get hard. We close off and we forget. And then we remember when we're here. So.
And AI will bring your voice to us every moment of the day. So thank you.
Thank you,
Vivi, my
for
dear.
inviting me to this luxury paradise here.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. And we invite all of you to be with us and to continue. We are really, you know what thriving is about? It's about creating this community and getting tools and beautiful voices that are real, and AI will never be surreal, to guide us to really thrive from inside and together.
Thank you.